Okay everyone, welcome back to another video on the channel. We're back with the FIA manufacturers round 3 at Blue Moon Bay Speedway. A track that really wasn't going to suit the Mercedes. I knew that from the time trial session. I went into other cars and tried them, and some of the cars were up to 3-4 times faster without any slipstream obviously, so I didn't expect much from the qualifying. They're pretty much dominated by the Nissans in qualifying. You see their TRL Lightning starting P2, and obviously the Ford, which is another really fast car down the straights. There was other cars that could reasonably do good times here, like the Porsche, purely because it's rear engined. It's got a lot of ability to carry speed through corners, so I think it gained a lot of speed on the final corner and then through turn 1, whereas the Mercedes, obviously front engined, a lot of weight in the front, it can't really carry speed through fast corners. Its ability is more stability in lower speed corners. So didn't really expect much from this race, and I didn't really mind. I just wanted to enjoy it and have some fun because I knew that there wasn't going to be a chance of getting a brilliant result here. The Mercedes is lacking in speed and it's lacking in fast corners for its ability in fast corners. So I just tried to jump on a slipstream, managed to get pretty much half a slipstream. I could have got a bit more. Put myself in P12, the top Mercedes in the race. There was 2 other Mercedes, so not too bad. Starting from P12, I was actually really happy with that qualifying because although I could have done more, I was actually dead last until I actually eventually managed to find the slipstream. Every single car I kept going behind, they just kept slowing down and pulling over, and they didn't want to give slipstreams away, which is fair enough. But I eventually found one and got myself up the grid, up into P12, so I was happy with that. And it was going to be a fun race. The news race was just going to be about holding on to a slipstream. If I could hold on to slipstreams in this race, then there was a chance of getting some okay points. I knew that top 4 or 5 places are out the question because it just hasn't got the speed down the straights of Mercedes. But I thought maybe I could get into like the second group. Normally you'll find that these races get split into groups because once you lose a slipstream, you're pretty much out the race. As you can see there, I'm just going to leave this with the onboard action throughout the whole race and that top right hand corner to have the replay camera because I think it's a bit more intense. I have tried editing it a bit, but it kind of missed out on a lot of stuff, so just wanted to keep it more so on board as we start the race. Straight away searching for that slipstream. You can see the cars up ahead having a little battle. Straight away he wanted to get ahead of TRL Merecdes. I wanted to just take this nice and easy and then pick up the slipstream with these 2 Nissans, and I actually hooked that corner up really well. Got a nice pull out of the corner and got into Merecdes' slipstream and pulled out. This was a mistake. I should have bump drafted him because as I go back to the right, the NSXs took my slipstream off the point to the right, and then as I turned to go back in there, the BMW's there on the left hand side and give me a little nudge. And now I've lost 2 places straight with the start. And now the Mercedes is coming down the left hand side. I try and hang it around the outside because I don't want to lose a slipstream. And you can see I've lost a lot of places here, but because I'm on the outside, I'm going to be able to pick up the slipstream. He actually turns in on me a bit there, the Mercedes. I don't think he knew I was there, and that enables me to keep P14. So a disappointing start to race. And then we're going into turn 1. I decided it's a good job just to take it nice and easy through this corner. There's no point going in flat out, and I just get barged into the wall. We'll go back at the end of the race and have a look at that, but nothing I could do, and it was more so a car coming. It was pretty much 4 wide, going for 3 wide, going through the corner, and because the Evo knocked into me, it then had a knock-on effect, and I've lost the slipstream to the cars up ahead. This is pretty much a disaster start. Not much I could actually do about it, which I'll show you when I'm watching the replays at the end of the race. Pretty much, I was just a passenger and getting knocked about a bit. Not going to complain though, because I really didn't expect much from this race anyway. So got that Nissan behind me. I tried to let him go down the right hand side then, and then I was going to lift and then tuck in his slipstream, but he didn't want to do that. He just tucked back in my slipstream. Obviously I wanted him to get ahead so his car's faster down the straight, so it'll boost mine to catch these cars up ahead. I needed him to get past really to start working our way back up to that group of cars really. So a little bit of an unlucky start to this race, but I did make that wrong decision when I was behind the TRL driver. I decided to go to the left, and really I should have just tucked up behind him and bump drafted him, but I didn't know if you'd get penalties. I hadn't tested it, and I found out later in the race that you wouldn't get any penalties, but maybe I should have just stuck behind him, lowered the fuel mixture down a bit and stuck behind him. But now I've got to just try and let work together with these guys in front of me, these drivers, to build, use the slipstream and get ahead. You can see I'm just trying to tuck in behind, let the faster cars, them cars off, the Lamborghini and the Nissan GTR is a lot faster than my car through the straights. You can see the Lamborghini didn't take much exit speed from that corner, and I'm able to tuck in behind the Nissan slipstream and get the inside for this line. I needed to try and pick that slipstream up though now, because if he lost me, that would be disaster for myself. I needed to make sure I got back in that slipstream, so really tuck in behind this car, making sure that the car's picking up speed, and luckily I got back in that slipstream and tried to carry some reasonable speed through this corner, just so that I didn't lose any more time through the corners, because the Nissan's a lot faster through the fast corners than the Mercedes. But now I'm in that slipstream, it's all okay, panic over, but not a great start. It was a little bit disappointing, because I think if I was behind the TRL driver and just stayed behind him and then tucked into the left in front of that BMW driver, I feel I would have ended up in the first group for battling for the it seemed to split straight away from about P14. You can see there P14, 15, 16s ourselves. There's a gap between the top group, and I think I would have been in that top group, and it was through no fault of my own, which I will show you at the end of the race. Mainly because two different drivers got a little bit of aggressive into turn one. I mean, fair enough, they had the right to do it in a way, but I felt it was safer on that lap, start the race, just to take it a little bit easier. At the end of the race, a little bit more, probably would have gone a bit more aggressive, but at the start of the race, I felt like it was more important just to hold on to slipstreams and be battling away like that. Normally you'll find that in these type of races, NASCAR, the drivers don't really go at it until the end. It's more about just holding onto the slipstream in the first few laps. You can see there now, picking up the slipstream of that Nissan in front of me and just holding back. I'm deciding to just save the fuel, because I know that Nissan is going to catch the Mercedes. So what I decided to do now was just hold behind him, let him do the work, let him catch them up. I know his car's faster. As long as I stay in his slipstream, I know that I'm going to catch them up too. And I think the Lamborghini behind me also had the same thought, just hang on behind, save some fuel, and then just let that Nissan drag us along, because the Nissan's a fast car down the straights and it's going to catch them two Mercedes in front of me. I knew it would be able to, because obviously I'm in that Mercedes as well, and I know how much it struggles down the straight. You can visually see straight away that Nissan's got so much more speed, even though I'm obviously playing with the fuel mixture, because I've got a massive slipstream, and he's slowly gaining on them two drivers in front of me. So now just hanging on there, saving some fuel. You can see using fuel mixture 6, just really trying to save as much as I can, because this was quite important, this race, to save some fuel, because there was two ways of doing this, either pitting lap 12 or 13. The way this was going though, straight away, it was looking like I was going to end up pitting lap 12, purely because I needed to gain some time somewhere to just try and maybe like get into another group of cars somehow by pitting a lap early and then getting a reasonable outlap done. But you can see in front of me, they're battling away, and the Nissan looks like he's slowly getting into that slipstream. It looks like he's going to be in that slipstream very soon. As you can see there, he's pretty much picked it up, and now I can start using that one mixture to get into the slipstream and start working my way up to this battle that is going on in front of me. Looks like these two drivers are working together in the Mercedes, slipstreaming each other, going past each other, but I felt like they were using a lot of fuel, so the plan was just to try and save fuel as much as I can at this stage. And you see the Mercedes nearly took out the Nissan driver there as he went to pull out to the left and nearly sideswiped the Nissan. Got to be a little bit more aware of other cars, and that's what a good job why I've got that mirror there. You can see the cars coming from behind a little bit easier now. The only issue, you can't really see to the side too much, but it's much better than the cockpit, so there's no complaining with that. Now picking up the slipstream of the car in front, you can see there the Nissan's dropped back a bit. He's obviously decided to do some fuel saving for a few laps. He's done his work. Probably just thought he'd save some fuel now. Now I'm starting to pick up the slipstream of these two Mercedes now, and trying to just hang on in there and kind of just thought now I might as well just let them do the work still, because there's no point me racing really hard. As you can see, I don't know what happened there. The driver in the yellow Mercedes went to pull out like left. I think he was defensive, but the car was already there. Nearly took him out, and that got very close. But I'm just saving fuel still. You can see the fuel mixture 2 getting the slipstream, and then fuel mixture 1 when I can see it's starting to drop back a bit. As long as I stay in the slipstream and just save some fuel, because I didn't want to really get involved with that battle. I feel like they were racing quite hard here, and probably not the most sensible thing to do. Should have just been, I mean, they're probably what they're trying to do is slipstream each other to get to the next group of cars, but the way it's working is they're slipstreaming up ahead as well, and we've lost the battle for that group now, because that start issue that I had really frustrating, because starting P12 I had the chance to get myself in that front battle. You can see there's some cars up ahead in P13 and 14. I felt like I would have been in the other group right ahead of them if I would have just because hanging on the slipstream is so easy on this track. As long as you were within like 7 tenths, you were fine. You wasn't going to lose the slipstream. Even though this Mercedes isn't the fastest, once it picks up that slipstream in 6th gear, you're going to be going so much faster than any other cars can go without the slipstream. So it would have been fine, and it was just a shame that what happened. As you can see there, again using that fuel mixture too, just trying to save a little bit whenever possible. It's really important, because if you were driving too aggressive, you couldn't do. You had to do one stint, 13 and 12, and one of the stints would have had to be fuel saving. But you see, I decided to go down the inside this time, but backed off. I thought it's not worth risking that. Again, that's where the driver at the start of the race just went for it. I felt it was safe just to back off there and then pick up the slipstream again. And the Lamborghini behind me also doing a similar thing, just thinking, save the fuel. Let's just let them do the work. I think there was just no point risking too much. So going into that fuel mixture 6 again, saving some fuel, and trying to make sure that when I pit, I've got a little bit more fuel. As you can see there, I've decided that I was going to pit at the end of this lap anyway. That's why I'm in that fuel mixture 6, so that I'm saving the fuel. But one thing I forgot to do was put it back down to 1. You're going to see in a minute as I go in the pits. And I forget to actually move it back into the 1 mixture. We'll have a little watch now as the fuel goes in and the tyres get changed. And I think I should have really gone all the way to the maximum on the fuel here now, just so that I could drive maximum aggression all the way to the end. However, my idea was go over the diamond a bit, but stop it a bit short to see if I can catch on to any other cars. But I forgot to put the mixture back into 1, and this lost me so much acceleration. You can see I would have lost the Mercedes that was in front of me. I would have jumped him massively and then pulled away, and he would have been out the slipstream. But I just don't know what I was thinking. At this point, when I moved over to the left, I thought I was going to break the slipstream, but I was going so slow because of that mixture 6, and I only really realised as I pulled over and thought, well, now that he's that close, I might as well use the slipstream and just work with him to see if we can gain some time on some other cars. Probably would have been the best idea anyway, but I genuinely didn't mean to do it. I just didn't realise I had the mixture on the weakest setting, and I was wondering why my car was so slow coming out of the pits and then going through turn 1. It really baffled me. I just totally forgot to put it back into that 1 setting, but mistake. It was a stupid mistake. As you can see there in front, the Lamborghini coming out just in front of us. I think I would have been able to. The annoying thing is, if I hadn't done that mistake, I would have been coming out very similar, pretty much level with that Lamborghini, and we might have been able to work a little bit harder and get rid of these Mercedes, and they would have probably lost out quite a bit. But we might have even then been able to work our way up into the cars just a little bit further up. I'm not too sure, but you can see the Mercedes giving me the bump draft. Some people were saying they were getting penalties for this, but the Mercedes was doing it to me and he wasn't getting any penalties at all. You can see him nudging me along. I think it's okay for this kind of track, but I hope no one tries to do it at other tracks. He actually gives me a nudge on 1 lap going into the braking zone, which was a little bit dangerous. I wasn't too keen on that, because what you don't want to do is, as you're approaching the braking zone, get nudged about 8 miles an hour faster. It can put you off in terms of where you're braking and carrying too much speed. But on the straights it was okay. It was working a little bit. I think it would have been more beneficial for him to just go past me and then just work the slipstream. As you can see there, I clipped the wall where it hit me a little bit too hard in the corner. I think it would have been more. I think it's more beneficial, rather than doing that, is just to help each other with slipstream. I think that if you do it right, the slipstream would have gained you more time. Because although it was gaining a little bit, it was getting me close to that slipstream with the Lamborghini. You can see it's nudging me forward. I just felt like if he would have just gone down the left, I would have worked with him and let him go. I wouldn't have tried to block it. I would have just let him go, and then I would have used his slipstream, and we could have just both worked together that way. We would have probably got a lot closer to that Lamborghini, a lot faster. But he obviously wanted to try it out, because it is a valid tactic, that they use in NASCAR. Although if these had maximum damage on, you wouldn't be able to do it. If GT Sport had full damage, you could never do that in these type of cars. These are GT cars. The front ends would get wiped out, the aerodynamics would get affected, and it's something you couldn't do. So I know they do it on iRacing, but only really in the NASCAR. You won't really find too many people doing it in GT cars, because a lot of people would get annoyed because you pick up damage. On GT3 cars on iRacing, for example, you would pick up a lot of rear damage from someone doing that, and you'd lose a lot of aerodynamic speed. So I'm not too sure where I stand on it in terms of these cars. I don't think it's meant to be done for these cars. I think bump drafting is more for NASCAR, but it was quite fun, to be fair, watching my speed getting bumped up all the time, and it actually helped me pick up the slipstream with this Lamborghini. Although I think we would have got it faster just doing it the proper way, just slipstreaming each other, but it doesn't really matter. As you can see there, getting back in that slipstream, and now just trying to just pick up the speed and see if I can get ahead of him or work together with these drivers to maybe get ourselves a little bit further up, because the race hasn't been going well, but it's not really been through any fault of my own, because what happened, obviously, it was something that I think no one could have really controlled. It was like a domino effect. One car hit another car that then hit another car and then bounced into me, and I took the most, obviously, the full brunt, because all the other cars had someone to deflect it to. I had no one on the right hand side, and I then hit the wall and lost out a lot of time and a lot of speed, and partly caused it by myself though, by trying to make that move on the left hand side on the TRL driver, which was a bit frustrating because it could have gone either way. If he would have pulled to the left, or if another car would have pulled to the left of the corner a bit earlier, I would have then picked up the slipstream. So it was just a risk that I took to try and get past him and then maybe pick up another slipstream. Didn't work out, and I ended up getting overtaken on the left and the right hand side. So can't really say I would have done anything different, because in these races it's all about, a lot of these races is luck in terms of which way you choose, and just getting up through the first few laps in the slipstream. If you lose that, you're out of it, because the speed advantage, you can see it visually. I mean, just look at the speeds going up now. If without a slipstream, we wouldn't even be getting 180 there, which is 6 miles per hour difference. Just to put it in perspective, in time trial, you just about hit 179 before you go over the finishing line. I hit the wall there, and I've already gone over that speed about 182 at the same point, and I hit the wall. So it shows you quite a big difference in terms of your speed due to obviously that slipstream. But you can see they're still holding on to P16 now. Race hasn't really been going too well, but as long my main aim now was just to finish ahead of that Mercedes. Obviously, I think he's one of the he's reasonably high. I think he's P2 possibly, or P3 in the championship. I'm not really sure. I think it's P2. As you can see there, getting a massive slipstream off that Lamborghini and going up the inside, holding it on the inside there, all the way to the left, and get that position. And now up into P15. But obviously, this is just going to be a cycle of getting overtaken. It's going to be constant because the slipstream's so powerful. We've got a few laps left. I had realised on about lap 19 that my fuel situation wasn't very good, and that's why you'll notice I was using the fuel mixture too. That's because I realised I was about half a lap short. I didn't realise, I think if I would have filled it all the way to the top, that would have been the best thing to do, maximum fuel, but I didn't do that, and I started to realise very late on, about lap 19, lap 20, and I think the fuel caught out a few people. I know that TR Lightning had an issue as well, which we might be able to see as we come to the end of the race. And you see there, down into P17 now, so it's very much a tactical race between ourselves at the moment. The other Mercedes that was racing with us before, he hadn't been saving fuel, and obviously lost out a lot on the pit stop. I'm not too sure how much he lost, but he was quite far back. He must have just been running that one mixture all the way instead of just saving fuel when he was in the slipstream, which most people would have been doing. And now the Lamborghini in front, obviously going to that left hand side, I decided to just stay to the right. There was no real need to battle at this point. The winner's not going to be someone who crosses the line on lap 24 ahead. It's going to be, I knew I'd have to make that move on that back straight before these corners. So I felt that was a way to do it. As you can see, they're going through this corner now, and this caused an issue. The driver of the Lamborghini thought that was my fault. Now I'm going to show you something at the end of the race, and it will prove that 100% not my fault, because he actually hit the wall first and then rebounded into me. I actually I think there was enough space there. He ran too fast through the corner and actually understeered into the wall. We'll show that in the replay at the end of the race, because I think he thought that I pushed him into the wall, but it wasn't that way. There was a visual gap in between the cars, which I'll show you at the end of the race, and then he understeers, clips the wall first, which then rebounds him into myself. Luckily I didn't get a penalty, but he lost out quite a bit. Obviously he lost the slipstream, and he wasn't very happy with it. I think it might be someone who watches some of my videos, I'm not too sure. He wasn't happy, but at the end of the day I don't really feel like I could have done much else. I was on the inside, he was on the outside. He tried to carry a lot of speed through the corner. He understeered slightly. I did give him space, which I'll show at the end of the race, and then he clipped the wall first, and then that obviously then rebounded into myself. So luckily this time I got away with that one. So now it's just a battle between myself and this Mercedes in front. So you can see me just saving fuel for that last lap. All I'm doing now is I'm staying behind him. I don't want to get past him. I'm just going to sit behind him, all the way for this lap and then try and make the move on the back straight, because that's where we're going to be able to get past him. So I think there's a car up ahead as well having some sort of an issue there. You can see there, ghosted in front of us, and that's got myself now up into P15 and chance of getting back to P14. So if I can get P14, it wouldn't be a total disaster. You know, I started P12. I think I had the chance to get a little bit further up because the Mercedes was actually quite nice on its tyres here, but unfortunately what happened at the start ruined that. So now this is where I needed to get ahead of him. So you can see myself putting in that one mixture and going for it now. I wanted to get past him. I think he pretty much accepted that I was going to go past him there and thought that he might be able to pick up the slipstream through here, but obviously going through the corner you tend not to pick up a massive slipstream. So I go to the left, stop him picking that up. This is very risky because I then get a poor entry, but I managed to carry reasonable speed still. And now going down to, it's going to be a drag line to the finish line. I go over to the left to try and break that slipstream. He's going to try and pick up the slipstream as we go over the finishing line, and I just about get ahead of him there, finishing in P14. So not the worst, you know, this is not the biggest disaster. But you can see there, Tiara Lightning went from P3, I think it was, to P8. He ran out of fuel just on the finishing line, and that's why he ended up P8. So it does show you that some people were getting very close marginal with the fuel. So we'll have a little look at these few instances. This is where I went to the left. You see up ahead, I go to the left end. There was no one there to pick up a slipstream. I should have just stayed behind. And then the NSX is on my right, and then I go to go left, and the BMW is on there. Gives me a little nudge. Fair enough. He had the line, and nothing wrong with that. And I lose out on 2 places, and unfortunately I would have been so much further up. Now this is the issue where it was kind of like a domino effect. That evolution goes way too aggressive in my personal opinion into this turn 1, clips me there, then another car hits the Mercedes, which hits the yellow one Mercedes, which then hits me. So it was just like a complete domino effect. But this is the incident at the towards the end with the Lamborghini. Now I give him plenty of space here, still got plenty of space, no contact at all. He hits the wall there and then rebounds off me. So that, I don't really feel like that was my fault, to be real honest. I will say when something was my fault. I've slowed it down now, just so you can see. I've got pretty much maximum lock on at this stage. I can't turn that Mercedes anymore. He then hits the wall there and then rebounds off the wall and gives me a clip. I don't really feel like that was my fault. He said it was my fault, but I can't see how I could have done anything different. I think if he didn't hit that wall, we'd have both got through that corner pretty much fine. I felt like there was at least the car's width there, and I'd given enough space. So I won't take responsibility for that one, to be brutally honest. I will take responsibility for something that happened in the race, which I'm going to upload tomorrow, in the Nations race. Thankfully, the Nations race went a lot better. And I'm really happy with how that race went. I'm looking forward to uploading that one. Obviously, I feel like I'm just getting a lot of bad luck in this manufacturer, so it's a good job. I think it's a good idea to do these Nations races as well, because it might start bringing in some luck and then just build some confidence up. But to be fair, I did not expect a good result at that Blue Moon Bay Speedway. So it's not really a skill track. It's more of just floor it and get in the slipstream. There's not really much to it. So hopefully when the other tracks start coming to the other tracks, I can start getting some good results. And even though I'm not in the top 2, I won't make that top 24 stars race, which is unfortunate. I'm going to still push 100% to try and get in the 3rd one, because I still think it's possible, because I'm not being disrespectful to some of the other drivers, because they've done really well, but I think the drivers at the top, I feel like I'm faster than them, and I've got more potential to get higher points. So I'm going to push for them higher points and really do my best to try and get in that final top 24 stars race at the end of the season. I still feel there's possibilities, because I don't think the Mercedes is going to be the strongest car out of every car that's going to be in that top 24 stars race, and there's going to be some very fast drivers. So if they only pick up 1,000 points or something like that, and that gets doubled, they're going to get to say 2,000 points. If I can get in a race and maybe pick up like 1,800 points, I don't expect the most points, because it's an okay car at the next track, Dragon Trail. It's not particularly great, but it's not the weakest car. So if I can pick up some okay points, I'm not going to lose out too much. And then it's going to be a case of the dropped races, and obviously I'm going to end up losing quite a lot of races because the previous races in the season haven't been very good. So I've got to keep the consistency, keep it calm, and make sure I get some solid results, and that's the aim. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that video. I'm going to upload the Nations race tomorrow. That is a really enjoyable race, and I did much better in that race. I can't wait to show you that one. Some controversy in it, but still a good race, and I'm looking forward for you guys to see that. So thanks again for watching. Make sure you sub the channel if you haven't already subbed, and click that notification button so you don't miss any future videos. Thanks again, everyone.